Many wrestlers have passed away too young, but Rick Rude's story is especially haunting. It involves a cocktail of drugs, a history of pain, and unanswered questions that still linger today. Want to know exactly what went wrong? Let's get into it. Rick Rude, or Richard Irwin Rude, as he was born, was quite the character in the world of professional wrestling. He was born on December 7, 1958, in St. Peter, Minnesota, and it's safe to say he left a big mark on the wrestling scene. Everyone knew him as Ravishing Rick Rude, and he really lived up to that ring name with his flashy style and bold personality. Rick's wrestling career kicked off in 1982, and he quickly became a fan favorite. He wrestled for some of the biggest promotions out there, like the World Championship Wrestling, World Wrestling Federation, and even Extreme Championship Wrestling. His career was going strong until an injury forced him into retirement in 1994, though he did jump back in the ring for one last match in 1997. Over the years, Rick bagged a bunch of championships. He was a four-time world champion, picking up titles in different promotions, including a stint as the WWF Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. The guy was seriously tough in the ring. One of the coolest things Rick did was in 1997, when he helped start the D-Generation X stable with Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chyna. That same year, he pulled off a wild stunt by appearing on both WWF's Raw and WCW's Monday Nitro on the same night. This was a huge deal because Raw was recorded earlier, and he had switched over to WCW by the time it aired. Everything was going fine till now, until one day he was found dead out of nowhere. Now, before we get into the details of his untimely death, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks. Rick Rude's sudden death in 1999 really shook up his fans and the wrestling community. He passed away from heart failure, which the doctors linked to an overdose of various medications. There's still a lot of mystery around the exact circumstances of his death, and over the years, plenty of rumors and speculation have popped up. When the doctors looked into it, they found that Rick had a mix of muscle relaxants, painkillers, and sleep aids in his system. They also noted that he had an enlarged heart, which can be made worse by certain kinds of medications, and that probably played a big role in his heart failing. A lot of Rick's friends and fellow wrestlers have talked openly about what they think might have happened. Some believe he might have taken too many pills on purpose, while others think it was just a tragic accident, with him not realizing how dangerous the combination of drugs could be. There's also a pretty common theory that Rick was struggling with some serious issues behind the scenes. People think he might have been dealing with depression and a lot of pain from old wrestling injuries. Wrestling can really wear you down physically, and it's not uncommon for wrestlers to end up with chronic pain. If Rick was in that much pain, he might have started relying more on his medications just to get through the day, which could have led to taking too much without intending to. This idea that he was trying to manage his pain and maybe his mental health too with these medications, and it all just became too much, hasn't been officially confirmed, but it makes sense to a lot of people. It's a sad reminder of how tough things can get, especially when you're dealing with pain and not getting enough help. Sure, it was one of the biggest losses in the history of wrestling, but we can't move on without giving a tribute to his legacy. Rick's wrestling journey began under the guidance of Eddie Sharkey, a well-known trainer who had helped many wrestlers find their footing. With a fresh start in 1982, Rick debuted as Ricky Rude, the good guy everyone rooted for, but he didn't win his first televised match. Despite the rocky start, he didn't give up. He wrestled in Vancouver in Georgia before making a splash in World Championship Wrestling in 1983, winning his first match there with a simple yet effective dropkick. In 1984, Rick reinvented himself. He came back to the Memphis wrestling scene as Ravishing Rick Rude, an arrogant character you love to hate, managed by none other than Jimmy Hart. This new persona got him into feuds with big names like Jerry Lawler, and it was clear Rick was someone to watch. Rick's wrestling career kept gaining momentum as he moved around various promotions, picking up championships and stirring up trouble. In late 1984, he joined Championship Wrestling from Florida. Here, managed by Percy Pringle, Rick continued his winning streak and engaged in more high-stakes feuds. 1985 was another turning point. Rick shifted to world-class Championship Wrestling, and oh boy, did he stir up drama. He captured titles and became the first world champion of the newly named World Class Wrestling Association. Fast forward to 1987. When Rick hit the big time by joining the World Wrestling Federation, he quickly became infamous for his antics both before and during matches, often riling up the crowd with his over-the-top arrogance. His rivalry with Jake the Snake Roberts was particularly memorable, involving mind games that included Rick taunting Roberts with a picture of Roberts' wife on his tights. Rick's knack for playing the villain was unmatched. He was the guy you loved to boo, with his showy taunts and flamboyant style. His time in the WWF saw him picking fights and stirring the pot, making a name for himself as a superb entertainer and a master at playing the crowd. After some intense years filled with feuds, championships, and memorable moments, Rick left the WWF in 1990 over a real-life disagreement. He popped up in various wrestling promotions afterwards, but injuries and other challenges eventually led him to retire from active wrestling. Even in retirement, Rick couldn't stay away from wrestling for long. He made a surprising comeback in the late 90s, joining Extreme Championship Wrestling, and later the notorious D-Generation X in the WWF during a particularly controversial time. Off the ring, Rick's life was full too. He married twice and was a dedicated dad. His life was tragically cut short in 1999, but he left behind a legacy that still resonates in the wrestling world today. Rick Rude wasn't just a character in the ring. He was a true showman, a fierce competitor, and a devoted family man to those who knew him best. Through all the ups and downs, Rick Rude embraced his role in wrestling with unmatched passion, always ready to play the villain in the ring, but keeping his heart devoted to his family outside of it. What a journey, right? Rick Rude's story really tugs at the heartstrings, doesn't it? It's a mix of high-octane wrestling action and some real human moments that remind us of the pressures these stars face. Known for his larger-than-life persona, Ravishing Rick Rude was not just a wrestling icon, but also a man grappling with the physical and mental tolls of his sport. His sudden death, linked to a cocktail of medications, is a serious wake-up call about the unseen battles many athletes face. Reflecting on Rick's journey, from his flashy beginnings to his untimely passing, reminds us to appreciate the person behind the persona. While we celebrate his unforgettable moments in the ring, we're also reminded of the importance of proper support for mental and physical health, especially after athletes step out of the spotlight. If Rick's story struck a chord with you, why not give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel? We love diving deep into the lives of wrestling's biggest names, and we'd love for you to join our community. Hit that bell icon to stay updated with all our latest videos. And hey, drop a comment below. What did Rick Rude mean to you? Let's keep this conversation going, and remember the man behind the Ravishing nickname.